Hey folks, I'm back with another video. Today, it's a very important video, actually. It's something that's been heavy on me for 6 months or more, and something I'm seeing pop up in more and more people that I go for good information, and I go for inspiration, support, stability of mindset. I started this whole adventure these last couple years of the world transforming to something completely foreign to us. I started with the hope that people could do something about it. I've had that hope since I was young in general, for all things, that people have the ability to transcend their obstacles and their struggles, both individually and in groups, and rise above and make the world a better place. Though the last decade or so, my hope in that has continually decreased as people have continually failed. Me in my personal life, on a higher scale, politicians, business owners, social leaders, whatever it is. It just seems like things are getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And as they get worse, we become less capable of understanding the complexity of the issue, while also having less integrity to take responsibility and do the right thing. It seems like this desperate, vicious cycle where we get worse as people, the situation gets more complex in its difficulties, which then in turn makes us worse people, which then in turn makes the problem even worse. I had quite an emotional mental breakdown as a result of this, because if people can't save the people's world, then, well, if that's all you have, we're screwed. Now, everyone has, either no belief system, right? Or they have a particular belief system, like maybe they believe aliens are coming to save them. Maybe they believe Jesus' second coming is very soon. And I've always struggled with that too, because I've always thought, hey, it's our problem. We should fix it. Even if Jesus is coming back, I think if he comes back and he sees us all just sitting around being like, oh, yeah, we knew you were coming, so we just kind of chilled. I think he'd be pretty pissed, right? Even if it's Jesus, I think he'd still be pretty angry about that. And so I always thought that human beings, if we cause a problem, we should probably try to take responsibility for it and do something about it and make the world a better place. And so I leaned on that understanding, and I leaned on myself. I lean on what I could do day to day, whether it was just a small good deed or giving an education on being a better person, or whatever way I thought maybe I could contribute in some positive way. I tried to do that as often as I could. The more it seemed like it was getting worse and I wouldn't get caught up in it, the harder I would try to do good, until I got exhausted, until I became hopeless. And I think it took me losing everything in my personal life, all my closest friends and loved ones, a lot of my family, jobs and job opportunities, obviously from the last 2 years, social circles, things to do, losing all of that for a variety of reasons, but all reasons really falling back on the failure of human beings to be decent and do the right thing. That really hit hard, and I was absolutely hopeless, right? Like, planning for the future. Why? The world's falling apart. Why would I plan for the future? Getting up and counting my blessings. Why? It doesn't matter. I can't apply my blessings of who I am or what I can do to the world. The world's falling apart. I don't have, being happy with any sort of wealth or health. It's like, why? I can't share it with another human being. I have no one anymore. Everyone completely disagrees with what I believe in. Or, there's like 1,000 different ways for people to be separated right now. One of which is being purposely physically separated by force. It just got really tough. And this whole period of time, I was not obviously, but I was exploring my relationship with God. I was trying to push buttons in the religious community to start to fire people up if I could. Struggle after struggle. And when I finally started to try to just develop my personal relationship with God, it felt like I couldn't hear him anymore, like I did when I was younger. Because he felt so much closer to me when I was younger. And it just feels like there's a bubble over the world. There's a bubble over me. But I kept pushing for it, and although I haven't felt like I've made a super strong connection with him yet, it's all we have. It's so crazy to me to go from feeling like human beings are the only like beings here that can fix this problem, and we made the problem, so we need to fix it, to there's nothing human beings can do. I literally just have to have faith in the all-powerful creator who I've never physically seen in front of me. And I struggle a lot because I'm like half man of science, half man of faith. But I have nothing left in me to do anything about it. I mean, the amount of introductory conversation you have to have with somebody to even get them to any stage of analysis of what's actually going on in the world where they can be effective by either continuing the flow of that information or acting upon the world in a way that they understand what's actually happening. There's so many layers of lies and illusion and BS. Just to do that requires so much energy. It would take you a day to figure out the right way to say something to somebody, and then build a conversation out of that, and then it'd take the next day to try to have that conversation with the person, and then the next day to follow up to make sure that they're maybe doing their research and coming to terms with this new truth. And it's like, and that's just one person. And here on these social media platforms, it's impossible to talk about any of the real specific things because they banned it all. It's like every single door is closing. And I see people that I follow that I appreciate a lot, like Andreas Bjorn, I always, Hansen, I think. He's great. He's a Norwegian guy, and he's been really helpful because his frustrations are my frustrations. His insights are my insights. His hopes for the world are my hopes. And the other day he did a video. He was just upset. Like, understandably. And it hurt in a deeper way for me because I've been hanging there for a long time where he is in that video. And just like to see another one of us lose the spring in their step, trying to make sense for themselves, trying to give good advice for others to try to help, and it's like, we're not enough. That's so hard to say, and I think it has less to do with ego. I have no problem like with there being a God who just needs us to behave ourselves, and he's got our back and will help us out. It's just, I don't understand how to define that. I don't understand how, like, faith is one thing, knowing is another thing. We can have faith all day. You can have faith in the spaghetti monster if you wanted. The difficult part is knowing whether or not that's real. We can have all sorts of spiritual experiences that we're like, oh my gosh, that was definitely real. People believe completely in the 7-rayed angel, light people, the Pleiadian aliens, and they're completely convinced, right? And then somebody else is completely convinced of a completely perpendicular view that the both those views can't exist. Like, it has to be one or the other. So how do we define what's real? And so for me, it's not an ego issue. It's not like, oh, we don't need God, we can do it ourselves. It's never been that with me. It's more like, wherever God is, he's chilling right now. And I think maybe he's trying to see if we'll fix it and we'll do the right thing. That's always been my take on it, is like, I think we need to take some responsibility. That's what all the lessons in the Bible were about, is taking personal responsibility. But that seemed to be absolutely detrimental in my life. Trying to take personal responsibility for what's happening and trying to fix it has only caused me pain and loss. Instead of just conforming and fitting in, I've chosen not to. And you're just cast out. You feel completely alone. And so I see more people, more of these voices of reason that a lot of folks like us follow, that are also losing heart. And so I guess I'm still struggling, leaning on something that I can't know for sure is there. With all the lies and deception and constant propaganda and brainwashing, it's like we can barely know up from down at this point. I do think that when all hope is lost in people, we do have to lean on something greater. And we have to seek something greater. If something greater does exist, maybe it needs to be sought after in order for it to reveal itself. So I guess my message is, for all of those of you who are losing hope, who are starting to get a little scared because it doesn't seem like human beings are going to do anything about this. It doesn't seem like we can fix it at all. It seems like it's a rock rolling downhill, picking up a lot of speed. It was difficult to try to stop before. It's almost impossible now. It'll kill you if you get in the way. Consider seeking God. I don't know. It's the only thing that gives me even a tiny bit of peace. Maybe if we all got together and collectively started putting our hearts toward God and putting our hearts toward being good and honoring the 10 Commandments, which are simple and obvious rules that everyone should follow, and honor loving our neighbor. Like, what if that was what we needed to do? What if we just needed to put our hearts in that place, and maybe the rest would start to fall into place because we would have invited God into our homes, our spiritual homes, and possibly invited God back here. Maybe that's how we get things moving. I don't know. But I hope this was helpful a little bit. I hope it maybe made you not feel so alone and crazy. There's lots of us out here that are just like, having a really hard time with where this is going. All right, again, I am struggling pretty intensely at the moment. Any little bit of help will be greatly appreciated. I'll put the information for my Cashapp on the bottom. If what I've been doing here, what this video did for you was helpful at all, and you feel any inclination to donate, any little bit helps. Honestly, anything. I'm just trying to get my footing in a very new place, as I've had to leave everything else behind because it was not congruent with what I want the world to be. So, love y'all. Keep praying. Even if it's not something you feel comfortable doing, try it. Just take some deep breaths, fold the hands, and seek that which is God, and which we know to be God is someone who loves us, who believes in us, who created us, who wants us to do well. Seek that. And just see what you come up with, and see what you get back. Peace and love, guys. God bless.